The New York Rangers have had a very interesting offseason so far, so I figured today we take a look at all the moves they have made so far that will be impacting the NHL team. We'll take a look at those moves here and kind of grade them and talk about how good they are, some of the negatives, some of the positives about them. So let's get right into it here, starting off with the first one that we have today, and that is Barclay Goodrow. He ended up getting waived by the Rangers, and the San Jose Sharks ended up claiming him off waivers for absolutely nothing, which is a big plus for the Rangers. This team does not have a ton of cap space, so being able to waive a guy like Barclay Goodrow, get off that contract for absolutely nothing, is massive. But the fact that he does have 3 more seasons left with a cap hit of $3.64 million. And yes, he had a great playoff run with this Rangers team, but let's be honest here, for a fourth line center, $3.64 million per season is just a little too much. Yes, he had a great playoff run, scored a bunch of clutch goals there, played fantastic, seemed like a good leader and a good locker room kind of guy, but at the end of the day there, that is too much for a fourth line center. And just the fact of not having to give up any assets, whether it's prospects or picks alongside him, is a massive plus. I think he will be a nice fit on the San Jose Sharks, though obviously on the Rangers, maybe a little too much money there, but San Jose Sharks have an abundance of cap space. They don't have a lot of massive contracts on that team, especially after they traded Thomas Hertl at the deadline there. So they got a lot of cap space available. They got to get to the floor anyways. And adding in a solid veteran guy who used to play with the San Jose Sharks as well, that's kind of a nice fit for them. He can go back there. He's obviously going into a very young team, a youthful team with a lot of great prospects, a lot of great young players, but are obviously a team in need of a veteran guy like Barclay Goodrow, who's won multiple cups there with the Tampa Bay Lightning, has gone on multiple long playoff runs with the Rangers there, has a ton of playoff experience, and can be a good leader there for them, obviously being that kind of probably middle six there, but just be a solid veteran guy there, help kill penalties, can play on the wing and center. I think that could be a good fit for the Sharks. And if I had to grade this move here by the Rangers, I would give it an A, honestly. I don't think it's quite an A+, because he did have a great playoff run, but if you can count the contract that he's on and getting off him for absolutely nothing, I give this an A grade. So definitely comment down below your thoughts on my grade and stuff like that. What would you kind of grade these moves as well? Let me know in the comment section down below. But carrying on now, though, and taking a look here at the next move by the Rangers, and that is the team signing pretty much the Barclay Goodrow, fourth line center replacement there, and that is Sam Carrick. He ended up being a part of the Anaheim Ducks, got traded to the Oilers at the last year's deadline, but he ends up getting signed by the Rangers in free agency on a 3-year deal worth $1 million per season. Maybe it's a year or two too long, possibly, but I think for a fourth line center, $1 million contract is not too bad for what he can bring. He is a very tough, gritty, physical guy who, lays the body a lot there, blocks shots, plays a very physical game, is great on the faceoffs, can help kill penalties as well. A pretty solid kind of two-way, more defensive kind of guy with a gritty side to him as well. So bringing that physicality and grittiness, the toughness that this Rangers team needs, bringing that good defensive game for a fourth line center is what you kind of want out of that kind of a player, while also being a good faceoff guy, which is very important, and also being able to kill penalties is a big bonus. So he pretty much fills all of the things, other than, I guess you could possibly say, leadership. But I think other than that, though, he pretty much replaces exactly what Barclay Goodrow can bring. Maybe a little more physicality, that's for sure. I would kind of say on that end there, maybe better physical kind of guy, maybe a slight worse defensive guy at moments, but in general, should be a great replacement for a guy like Barclay Goodrow, making $2.64 million less. The same kind of term. They both have 3 years left on their deals. Sam Carrick signed his 3-year deal, and Barclay still has 3 years left. So saving an extra $2.64 million for the next 3 seasons for our fourth line center is a pretty great move for this Rangers team. And overall, offensively, same thing with Barclay Goodrow. Other than this past playoff run, he's not going to bring a whole lot offensively, but still going to be a solid two-way center. And if I had to grade this move, I would give it a B+. Maybe you could argue like an A-, but I don't think you would go too much higher than that, because it is a 3-year deal for a fourth line center who is 32 years old. So maybe it's a year too long on the contract, but other than that, I think this is a pretty great move here by the Rangers and should be a pretty great fourth line center for this team, bringing that physicality that we definitely know this team could definitely use more of. Next up here, we have the real only trade from the Rangers so far this offseason, and that is acquiring Reilly Smith from the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 2027 second-round pick, as well as a 2025 fifth-round pick, I think overall, for that value, it's not too bad at all. They ended up retaining some money on his contract as well to bring the cap hit down, which is quite nice. So he's got 1 year left. He's going to be pretty much a rental, but could possibly end up getting re-signed next offseason on a somewhat cheap contract. We have to wait and see, but he's still a very solid, middle six right winger, going to provide some great goal scoring, but also some phenomenal playmaking. He's a very good playmaker, a good goal scorer. I'm not going to be a 30-plus goal scorer kind of guy, but 20, 25 goals, while also putting up, 25 to 35 assists. Something around that range is definitely a realistic outcome. He could definitely be a 40 to kind of like 55 point type player for this Rangers team, possibly playing somewhere in that middle six, whether it's the third line or possibly that second line. I think he could definitely bring quite a bit more than what we saw to a guy like Blake Wheeler last season. I had a decent amount of high hopes there for a guy like Wheeler. Obviously didn't quite work out as I kind of hoped, but Reilly Smith there should be a great, second line right winger possibly to go alongside guys like Kreider and Zibanejad, who were two very good goal scorers. Adding in a great playmaker kind of guy like Reilly Smith is not a bad move. He also has a ton of playoff experience. He ended up winning the Stanley Cup with the Vegas Golden Knights not too long ago, and he also has proven to be a very good and consistent playoff performer. Pretty much every single one of his playoff appearances, he has been quite phenomenal. He's done a pretty great job, so I think this will be a great move for this Rangers team. And with all the playoff experience that he has, him also being a pretty good defensive winger, being a penalty killer, bringing that physicality as well, which he definitely has quite a bit of, for a pretty good offensive winger, him being that good defensively, being able to kill penalties and bringing that physicality, that toughness that he has in his game is very, very nice there. He's also a phenomenal playoff performer, like I said, and does that at a very consistent level. I think this is the exact type of player that we need to add in here alongside guys like Kreider and Zibanejad to help kind of get them producing at a little more of a consistent level, possibly in the playoffs and in the regular season, which we know they can at moments be, on absolute fire, and they're looking like some of the best players in the entire NHL, but they also have their moments when they kind of go quite quiet and kind of cold. So adding in a guy like this alongside them, I think, is a perfect fit. So overall, if I had to give this a grade, considering, the fact that we gave up a second and a fifth-round pick, they retained some money, so it's pretty much a fifth-round pick for them to retain some money, and that second-round pick for Reilly Smith, I would grade this trade an A. I think he's going to bring some great value to this team and definitely should be a very impactful player for the Rangers this upcoming season. And the last move we have to talk about here today is the Rangers re-signing Chad Ruhwedel. He ended up coming back on a 1-year deal worth league minimum $775K on a 2-way contract. I think this is a fine move. He's probably going to be the number 7 defenseman for this Rangers team. Imagining a guy like Zach Jones ends up getting that kind of 6th spot alongside either Braden Schneider or Jacob Trouba on that third D pair. I think Chad's going to be a solid, 7 defenseman. He's a right-handed guy, maybe a little undersized there, just under 6 foot, but can bring a very physical game, especially for a guy of his size. He's a good puck mover, plays some good defensive hockey, has won a Stanley Cup back with the Penguins, and, I think just going to be a solid number 7 guy. That's what he's going to be. He's not going to be a top 4 caliber defenseman, but being a solid, stable, reliable, kind of more defensive, puck-moving kind of guy, bringing that physicality, the playoff experience, I think should be a fine signing for a 1-year deal worth league minimum. And if I had to grade this move here, I would give it a B. I think it's a fine move here, a 7th defenseman, and should provide some pretty good depth for this team. Anyways, in the comment section down below, definitely don't forget to let me know your thoughts on my grades here. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are your grades for all these 4 moves here? Let me know your thoughts on this kind of Rangers offseason as a whole. And also, if you are a New York Rangers fan, this is the place to be. This is the perfect channel for you. I post every single day, so definitely hit that like and subscribe button for more daily New York Rangers content. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.